Hello, 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 my peeps. It's Thursday. Hello, it's a new episode of Chit Chat with Bernie Bella. I'm your host, Bernadine. So, welcome to episode 31. Wow, we started in March to welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me know if you can hear me now because my mic was off before. So, let me know if you can hear me. Welcome to another episode of Chit Chat with Bernie Bella. This is episode 31. So we're just chugging along one episode at a time. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Drop a like, drop a comment, say hello, share the live. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. We live stream every Thursday at 9 p.m. on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So spreading my wings. I started on Facebook, went on Facebook and YouTube, and now I'm on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So previous episodes can be found on my YouTube channel. So, you can always visit the site. There's all the old shows are on there. I've broken them down into smaller clips. So, if you don't want to watch the whole hour program, hour and a half, I've broken down the topics, some of the topics into small clips and stuff. So, you can think. So, see who's checked in. Good night, Lindsay. How are you? Glad that you checked in. Good night, Enid. How are you? How are you doing? How was your week? Hope you all had a good week. Hope you all had a good week. So, I'm going to start with entertainment tonight. There is a lot going on. So I'm just going to jump right in because the entertainment scene, especially in Jamaica, was just in an uproar this week. So I'm going to jump right in and I'm going to start with Ishawna. So if you all remember, a few years ago, she did her equal rights song to the Ed Sheeran soundtrack, Shape of You. She also stated then that she did not ask for permission to use the track as she didn't think that she would be given permission to do so. So fast forward now 4 years and Ed Sheeran is in the Caribbean for a vacation and heard the song and like it. And for those who can't recall the equal rights song, the infamous Ishawna song where everybody did a lick out pan where she said if you don't have it in a waist, you have to have it in a face. That song. So Ed Sheeran heard it and liked it. Him know it word for word. He was recently doing an interview, indicated that he liked the song. The interviewer put the song on and he just went and he was just singing the song word for word. Fast forward to now. That was about a month ago. So fast forward, Ed reached out to Ishawna. One thing led to another, and now they're doing a collab. So kudos to the both of them for taking something that could have been it could have been expensive for Ishawna because she remixed his track without permission. But, Ed Sheeran looked at it in a different way, saw the creativity of it, and decided to collab with her on a different track. So that particular song is done. I think he said it should be out in another month or so. So that was quite interesting. So kudos to both of them. We're gonna we're gonna do R. Kelly. So we all know that he was convicted in Chicago of the charges. So a man has been sentenced to 8 years in prison for intimidating a witness in the upcoming trial in New York. So Michael Williams set fire to an SUV belonging to the father of a witness due to testify against the singer. Threatening a victim's safety will never be tolerated, said the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York. Williams, age 38, committed the arson to prevent the victim witness from continuing to cooperate, according to a statement from the attorney's office. So he will be joining R. Kelly in prison because him just get 8 years now for witness what you might call it, for intimidating a witness. So I don't know what he was thinking. Obviously he wasn't, but now he has lots of time to think because now he's gone in jail for 8 years. So Bounty Killer, there's a few things happening with him. Christopher Townsend, the attorney at law representing Rodney Bounty Killer Price, has advised the dancehall artist to make an official complaint to the Jamaica Constabulary Force regarding scammers who have been attempting to bilk money from the public by impersonating him. We have advised our client to make a report of it to the Cyber Crimes Unit because they have their own way of knowing the perpetrators. We will be meeting today to discuss this, Townsend said. In a press release, Bounty Killer and his manager, Paul Banky Giscombe, detailed examples of the scamming attempts. One particular Facebook user has purported to be the artist Bounty Killer and has been allegedly trying to solicit money on the artist's manager's behalf, the release said. The release also identified a phone number that was being used to divert business away from the artist. We wish to advise you that this page is inauthentic and is in no way, shape, or form affiliated with the artist or the manager. We ask that this page, along with any other suspicious page that is located, be reported urgently and brought to our attention, the release said. The scammers have reportedly been bamboozling potential customers to the tune of US $1,500 a pop. Townsend warned the perpetrators to desist as they are in breach of several laws for which they can face serious repercussions. The release continued, "We would like to thank Mr. Price's loyal fans for bringing this page to our attention and for their continued support." So basically, people, I think so them I deal with Bounty Killer management, and I pay them money to get dub plate from Bounty Killer, and the money wasn't going where it was supposed to go because, of course, they were not dealing with Bounty Killer or his manager. So they put that out. So hopefully that will cease and desist, and everything will go smoothly from here on out. Also, Bounty Killer has a new album coming out later this month. It'll be out before the end of the year. I heard a piece of it not yesterday, the day before. So Tuesday, I heard a piece of it. Really nice. He had it like in a 1970s, 80s old dancehall style. It was that particular track that he had put out, and yeah, sound good. So Lila Ike, she supposedly came out as gay recently. She says she's safe and she's currently working on her mental health. This follows a series of tweets on Sunday from the singer's account, which appear to indicate her sexual preference, while warning that photos of her in a seemingly compromised position could possibly be exposed online. "Expose all you want," she tweeted over the weekend, followed by, "If pictures are released, I said it here. So what if I'm into woman? My music isn't real. I am Lila Ike. I am into woman and I've been making reggae music." She also tweeted, further disclosing that she has been raped and molested. However, in a social media post on Tuesday, that was the day before yesterday, Lila said, "I want to let everyone know that I'm safe. I am sorry if I've alarmed anyone of any immediate threats to my well-being. I've been struggling with my mental health from time, which manifested in my recent social media posts. I am working through this day by day and will address other matters in my own time. In every journey in life, there is a moment of chaos before we reach peace. I'm on my journey to heal. Thanks for your support, blessings, and light," she added. Since then, the reggae artist, whose real name is Alicia Gray, has received strong support from some social media users. After disclosing her struggles with mental health on Tuesday night, she said that she's working on her situation day by day. And this has created like a whole, like, it's just been crazy because another artist, because of the artist that came out in support of Lila's statement that she made, like producer Stephen the Genius McGregor gave his support, Protege gave his support, couple other people gave their support, and it's just been like a slow bill, because this next story that I'm gonna touch on added to that slow bill, and then there's another story that I'll be doing later as well that touches on. So I'm just gonna do all three stories and then summarize the situation. So Spice Grace Hamilton will be headlining the Toronto Pride Parade in June of 2022. The Canadian LGBTQ group and made the announcement yesterday that she will be the headline act. Their press release read that the long-awaited return of the event will include all signature favorites, including the annual Trans March, the Dyke March, the BI Plus Pride programming, the Blackorama by Blackness Yes, Pride Parade, Street Fair, and multiple stages featuring over 300 2S LGBTQ plus artists. Okay? So with that statement that was made, plus with the Lila Ike situation, our resident viral king, Mr. Footer Hype, went off on everybody yesterday. Like he's been having a conniption all week. Because Lila, when she came out, she said that she was also raped and molested. They're equating the fact that she said she was raped and molested to the fact that she's gay, to the fact that's why she's gay. And that's not what she said. So plus Sizzla Kalonji, he came out against Spice and telling Spice not to perform in Toronto. Footer did a whole long monologue and a whole paragraph book written on his social media stating that he's embarrassed and he's ashamed because he never know Spice would have sell out to go perform at a gay event and all. Like the backlash that these people are getting for Spice for performing at the parade next year and Lila for stating that she's gay. She's not getting support. The people who are bashing her aren't giving her support for the fact that she said she was raped and molested. But they're bashing her because she said she's gay. I don't understand the reasoning behind that. I don't understand how you cannot support somebody for something that they've gone through, but you are going to bash them for something that they have no choice over. But the story to that will continue because I guess we'll have to see whether or not it affects her future longevity in the reggae dancehall scene and how she will be perceived. There was also an old video that Queen Ifrica did last year that touched on a few of the names that came up, with Lila Ike's statement that she's gay, and that video is also making the rounds on stuff. So it is a little bit muddy right now. Like I said, Jamaica entertainment scene is ever festive, but this week it just seems like it's just been like a 1, 2, 3 punch, and everybody's head is just going crazy over it. So I'm gonna touch on to Auntie Dana. Big things are going for Auntie Dana. Big things are going for Auntie Dana. So for those of you who don't know, she's a popular social media influencer. affectionately called Auntie Donna, but her name is Donna Gao. She's now being managed by Ramesh Entertainment. And Ramesh Major announced the deal on social media platform on Tuesday. And he says that his brand would be responsible for managing Auntie Dana along with all her bookings. Ramesh also shared that Auntie Dana would be available for the upcoming Christmas season to serve as a brand ambassador. Gao shared online that she was excited to be a part of the Ramesh Entertainment family. And also, news of the deal has been welcomed by Auntie Dana fan, who has expressed confidence in Major's ability to take the influencer's brand to the next level, pointing to the success of artists like Shensia and Ding Dong. Gao rose to prominence for her philanthropic work in her community of Mountain View in Kingston. So, Auntie Dana, most people know her because of her helping other people. So she's helped people to build houses or to start businesses and stuff like that. Plus, she's got her own cake business. And I know she's coming out with different types of cakes. She's working on some elderberry, and then she's got her signature black cake that she called Nyambad cake, Nyambad pudding. And then she's working on a few other cakes that she'll be bringing to the market. So kudos to Auntie Dana. You know, bigger things will happen for her because she was doing well before, but signing up with Ramesh now will put her on a different level. If you've just joined, drop a hi, drop a comment, say hello, say hi, share the live, let me know who's joined me. Let's see. So yes, Jada Kingdom, dancehall songstress, has said that she is a lesbian. Like I said, it's been a 1-2-3 punch all week with regarding to this situation. So on Monday, she made the revelation that she recently mustered up the courage to come out to her mother. To her surprise, Kingdom says that her mother was not shocked, but instead told her that she had known all along. And Jada came out and made this statement because of the situation that was happening with Lila Ike. Jada said, I remember just a couple of months ago, I finally, for the first time, gained the courage to tell my mother that I'm a lesbian, and she told me she been knew that all these years, Kingdom tweeted. The Jungle singer also shared that she was outed by a schoolmate for who she had harsh words. There was a bitter bitch in high school that outed me because I didn't like her. If you're reading this, I still don't like you, smelly, she added. However, it turns out that like Kingdom's mom, her fans were not surprised about learning of her sexual orientation, though most felt that she was bisexual and not necessarily a full-on lesbian. And they're saying that because for the past 2 years, she's been in a relationship with Verse, who is her music producer. Verse Simmons is an American music producer and songwriter, and they've been in a relationship for a couple of years. So and then Lila Ike came out. The reason why Lila Ike came out was because somebody had personal pictures of her and they were going to leak those pictures. So she decided to come out ahead of the story so that that person couldn't make any money and leak the pictures. So like I said, it's been a 1-2-3 punch for the Jamaica dancehall scene and reggae scene because of all of these with Jada and Lila coming out as being lesbians, and with Spice performing at the Gay Pride Parade next year. Foota Hype is having a connection, and people who think like him, they had a lot to say this week. So that's the entertainment section of the program. Like I said, it was spicy. So if you've just joined, drop a comment, say hi. Let me know who's joined. Let me know who's joined on. I'm going to touch on sports right now. And my Raptors weren't doing so well over this past week. They've lost 4 of the last 5 games. They're now under 500 average. It doesn't look like their losing streak is going to be changing anytime soon, as a bunch of their players are out with injuries. They're playing the Utah Jazz tonight, which started at 9 o'clock. So I don't know how they're doing so far. Hopefully they'll win that match, but I'm not holding out. I'm not optimistic about it because Utah Jazz is a good team and we're not at full strength. So when this show is finished, that's what I'll be doing, is watching the rest of that show. TFC, while their regular season is finished and they did not make the playoff, they still have one game left to play for the Canadian Championship against Montreal. Hopefully they'll win that and then they can go off to Disney World. That game will be on, I believe, this weekend. That particular game's coming on for the Canadian Championship. The Argos lost their last game against the Edmonton Elks. I don't know if the name are even better than the one they had before, because they were known as the Edmonton Eskimos, and then because of the issues with naming teams after the indigenous people, they decided to name themselves the Edmonton Elks. I'm still not like the name there, but anyways, I know my team. However, the Argos did not play their starting quarterback. It was more of a backup team that played Edmonton, and they didn't play their core players because they've already clinched the Eastern Division title, and they didn't want to hurt their players. This was a makeup match that was postponed from August 26th due to COVID-19 issues. And for my hockey fans who always complain that I never do any hockey stories, the Maple Leafs are actually played very good so far this season. They're currently playing the New York Rangers. I believe the game should have ended already or will be ending shortly. They're on a 4-game winning streak. Hopefully they'll win tonight and push it to a 5-game winning streak. And they presently sit second in the Atlantic Division. So if they continue along their winning path, and for my Maple Leaf dreamers, y'all do this every year. So I'm gonna let you get that. If they all continue along this path, who knows? They may even make it to the playoffs. Fingers crossed for you. Fingers crossed. So that's the sports section completed. We're going to go to the news stories, and we're starting in Ontario and Jamaica because this particular story touches both countries. So police investigators in Canada have issued a search warrant for the arrest of a man who they believe fled that country to Jamaica after his alleged involvement in a fatal shooting. Beresford Livingston, age 42, from Brampton, is the man named on the warrant, according to the statement issued by the Peel Regional Police. Livingston is wanted for manslaughter in connection with the fatal shooting of 38-year-old Dwayne Watson, also off a Brampton address. According to Peel Regional Police, at about 6:30 a.m. on Sunday, April 18th, Watson was at a residence in the area of Gorway Drive and Morningstar Drive in the city of Mississauga when he was fatally shot. He was later pronounced dead at the scene, and after a 5-month probe, a Canada-wide warrant has been issued for Livingston. It is believed that Beres Livingston has fled to Jamaica, and they've actually reached out to the Jamaica Constabulary Force and have notified them, and his story is also circulated in Jamaica, asking for their help in bringing Beres Livingston to justice. So we'll see what happens with that if he comes back to Canada to face the manslaughter charges that he's on. All right. So we're staying in Ontario, and this is a case of a young guy who stabbed his mother several times, killing her. The backstory of it is It's not good, and it plays into the mental health situation again. When left untreated, has devastating impact on families. So Duncan Sinclair stalked and fatally stabbed his mother 11 times at the food court where she worked in Toronto's underground path system 2.5 years ago. A juror was recently told during this at his first degree murder trial. So on April 10th, 2019, Sinclair. Are you not hearing me? Are you guys not hearing me? My mic is good. It doesn't say that it's muted or anything. Let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? Okay. Okay. Is it going in and out? Okay. Let me know if I'm still going in and out. Let me know what's happening. Let me know, because as far as I know, I'm not seeing anything on my screen that would indicate that I'm having any audio issues. So let me know if you can hear me clearly or if it's going in and out. Thank you. Okay, so back to the story. On April 10th, 2019, Sinclair was then age 19, placed 2 calls to two fast freshy foods locations, trying to determine where his mother, Ray Cara Carrington, was working. The mother of 8 was working at the restaurant's location downtown in the Path system. She was trying to get her life back on track after a complicated separation. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't know why that happened. It was plugged in. I didn't make any changes, but technology, it'll cut in and out in technology. It will just do its own thing. Anyways, yeah, so back to the story. So the Ray Cara Carrington was trying to get her life back on track after a complicated separation from her husband. One of the 7 video surveillance cameras captured Sinclair pacing back and forth in front of the restaurant shortly before 7 p.m. before approaching an employee and asking for his mother. Sinclair found his mother in the kitchen prep area, spoke to her, then pulled out a large purple knife that he brought with him. He then chased his mother, stabbing her 10 times. When she fell to the floor, he appeared to leave the area before returning for one final blow just to make sure. The lethal encounter lasted only 9 minutes. The 51-year-old woman was pronounced dead on the scene at 7:17 p.m. She died from 11 separate stab wounds that fractured 3 of her ribs, punctured her liver, kidney, both lungs, and heart. 4 witnesses who viewed surveillance video, including Sinclair's former employer and 2 of his siblings, identified him as the killer. At the time of her death, Sinclair's father, Paul Sinclair, was in police custody as a result of allegations of domestic and child abuse spanning more than 30 years. Abuse directed at Carrington and the couple's 8 children. Duncan Sinclair was their 4th son. So according to Santora, the lawyer, the children were isolated. They were not attending school or interacting with the community in any way. One of the kids stated that they didn't learn to read until they were age 10. The boys were allowed to go out to work after they reach a certain age. The girls weren't allowed. And when they went to work and came back in, they had to hand their earnings over to the father, who did not work but suffered from mental illness. The father, Paul Sinclair, was convicted of 12 offenses related to child maltreatment on March 18, 2020. So it's just been one situation after another with this family. And the mother, she finally had enough and was, had determined that she was going to leave and try to get her life in order. The son didn't want her to leave. The son blamed her for getting his father locked up and all of that stuff. So that's why he went and killed her. But yeah, the father programmed the kids, and the father abused them and their mother for the 30 plus years that they were together. And she finally found the strength to say, okay, I'ma leave, can't do this no more, we're not doing this anymore. And the son decided to kill her because he blamed her for what was happening to the family. So it's just crazy. Very, very crazy. You just never know what's gonna happen. You see people out the road and you just don't know what them are go through or what the situation is with them. Crazy. Crazy. So we're gonna circle around to Houston, and 2 children in Texas have been taken to hospital after a 4-year-old boy accidentally shot himself and a toddler aged 2. Jasper County Sheriff's Department said the shooting happened in Cougar Country between Boona and Kirbyville on Sunday morning. Duncan told local radio station that the 4-year-old managed to get hold of a handgun from which he fired a shot that passed through his own arm and struck a 2-year-old boy. Duncan said that one child was taken to hospital via medical helicopter, while the other was taken to a hospital in an ambulance. He added that the injuries were serious but not considered life-threatening. An investigation is now underway to determine how the 4-year-old got the handgun. Lindsay says, terrible and sad. I don't understand how people can be so gun happy, trigger happy that how do you not put your gun away safely and securely so that the kids don't have access to the gun? Like, I don't understand that. That 4-year-old could have killed himself and could have killed his sister, his brother, whoever the 2-year-old was, and what would they have said? Oh man. Anyways, we're gonna go to South Carolina because this other story is just crazy. It is just crazy. So a South Carolina man who left his 19-month-old daughter to die in a burning car after a police chase has been hit with a 28-year prison sentence in the horrific crime. Imhotep Norman, age 28, of Spartanburg, was sentenced Tuesday after pleading guilty to homicide by child abuse, failure to stop for police, and drug charges in the April 2019 death of little Zena Norman. The South Carolina Highway Patrol tried to pull Norman over for speeding after he was clocked doing 67 in a 45-mile zone. Norman took off, driving over the median on Highway 14 and onto I-85 with cops in pursuit as smoke and fire began to spew from the car. Police said Norman pulled over and jumped out of the car, fleeing into the woods after hurling a backpack full of drugs into the vehicle, leaving his young daughter behind to die. Firefighters discovered the girl's body after dousing the flames. Zena Norman was 19 months old. when Norman was caught, eventually caught several hours later, and he told police he assumed cops were going to rescue Zena. How many years would he have gotten if he had stopped? Probably about the same amount of years, but his daughter would have been alive. No, him daughter dead. And he still a go jail. I don't understand what people think when police try pull over people. What them think when them decide to them a go run? What is it that they think of? I don't understand what they think of. But sad to say, that little princess, Enid says, such a beautiful girl, so sad. Very sad indeed. Very sad for the family and for the little girl. And for know that it's your father that was stupid that did that, made that happen to you. But continuing with the news, and we're going to go to Jamaica. The Ministry of National Security will be rolling out the pilot of its electronic traffic ticketing system in late November. Now, I wonder if when this is implemented, if the cops will still tell you left or right, because they're famous for telling you left or right. So I'm wondering if this system will deter them from doing that, or they'll find a way around it. So the e-ticketing application is expected to replace the existing manual traffic ticketing system used by the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Chief Technical Director with responsibility for security risk reform and transformation policy division in the Ministry of National Security. Damn, that's a long title. Delroy Simpson. Holy crappy. Chief Technical Director with responsibility for security, risk reform, and transformation policy division in the Ministry of National Security. Delroy Simpson told JS News that the application will remove the element of human error that occurs with the manual system. Currently, when a police officer stops a motorist, he pulls out a ticket book and writes a ticket for the offense. The officer has to write the type of offense, the motor vehicle particulars, and the date of the offense. After this process is completed, then the data entry operators have to enter the ticket information into a database. In those two processes, you can have errors. For example, the officer can make an error with the name of the offender and so on, Mr. Simpson said. He explains that the manual system was not foolproof. More errors can be introduced by the data entry operators. Where errors are introduced, this will create a problem with tax administration, Jamaica, and similarly the court system. The system can reflect that the ticket has not been cleared, and there are cases where warrants are issued for persons to be arrested, and when they turn up in court, they produce evidence that they have paid the ticket. They're saying that the electronic system will be easy to handle. He notes that the new system will result in greater coordination and collaboration for institutions that are involved with processing traffic tickets. Apparently, the JCF, the Tax Administration, Jamaica, the Island Traffic Authority, and the courts will all be notified immediately. And once something happens at one level, it'll trigger across all four levels. So, you won't get noticed that you owe for a traffic ticket when you've already paid it. So this is a pilot project. It's starting in November, and it'll be on for 3 months. And then once that happens, then they'll decide where to roll it out. Right now, it's just mostly in Kingston and the metropolitan area surrounding Kingston. And then they'll decide to roll it out across the country. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's see. Lindsay laughing. Lindsay said they can still get away with it. Just don't write the ticket. Exactly. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. And we're gonna come back to Ontario, and the Ontario government is investing $75.1 million over the next 3 years to fight gun and gang violence in the province. Premier Doug Ford made the announcement in Etobicoke on Tuesday, saying that he hopes the funding will disrupt the drug supply chains and help investigative support. This is about keeping our community safe. This is about keeping our children safe. These initiatives will disrupt gang activities and the drugs and human trafficking that fund these criminal elements. The funding will be used to establish an Office of Illicit Drug Intelligence to prevent cross-border human trafficking and the trafficking of drugs and guns, as well as a new gun and gang mobile prosecution unit that will prosecute major gun and gang cases from the moment charges are laid in priority regions across the province. We're also investing money to assist with firearms analysis and tracing, allowing for the timely identification of gun traffickers, their networks, and smuggling routes. I thought we already had a guns and gang task force. That was it Doug Ford that got rid of it? Or was it the other? I can't recall who got rid of that, but we did have a guns and gang task force already. And let's not forget that it was our illustrious premier for that reduced funding to legal aid by 30%, leading to a reduction of about $133 million. And they were looking to cut that budget further by $31 million for 2021 into 22. But because of bad press and because of the outcry from the public, they decided to not do that and stuff. So it's funny that now that election time is coming up for next year, and if you not go vote for dollar beer again, una don't talk to me because I'm not idiot. It's funny that with election coming up next year, that all the things that he took away when he came into power, he's now putting back into the system to make it look like it's a new system. But if you follow the things that he did when he started, these are processes and things that he took away. It's like when you grow up, your parents take away a toy from you, and then when you misbehave, your parents take away your toy, and then when you behave properly, then give you back the toy. That's the same thing he might do. When he came in, he took away stuff. I know that election is coming up. He's giving you back. He's telling you that he's going to give you back the things he took away from you. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. So Enid says, same. So Lindsay said, but he did not invest in the at-risk communities. Of course not. That would be too logical. And both goes hand in hand. Of course, you have to give kids something to do. You have to give them a place to play. You have to give them job opportunities. You have to give them an outlet in order for them to not go down the crime spree, the road of crime. If they're not booking client, pay for them to go to trades. There's a lot of trade jobs out there. There's a lot of trades out there making over 100,000 a year, and there's not enough people to fill those jobs. So pay for those kind of things. But investing in the police side of it and not investing in the community side of it is stupid. It is stupid. So we're going to circle around to London, England, and thousands of unmarried women and their children born out of wedlock who were shunned by Irish society and sought refuge in state-owned homes, where many were then abused by nuns and officials of the Roman Catholic Church, will be eligible for compensation from a new multi-million-dollar initiative that the Irish government has established in acknowledgement of suffering experienced, known as mother and baby homes, the controversial institutions that were widespread in Ireland from the 1920s to the 1990s, housed mostly young women who were cast out by their families for bearing children deemed illegitimate in a largely conservative religious society. About 34,000 people were thought to be eligible for what the government calls the Mother and Baby Institutions Payment Scheme, which is being funded with an estimated $900 million. The compensation program will be the largest plan of its type in the history of Ireland, it added. There is no payment or measure that can ever fully compensate or atone for the harm done through the mother and baby institutions, said a statement from Roderick O'Gorman, the Irish government minister responsible for children's affairs. Is there no country that the Catholic Church and the nuns have gone into and not do damage to mothers and children? Like, is there no country anywhere that you have? I mean, I understand. Every day something else with the Catholic Church. Everything is a Catholic Church. What is it with the Catholic Church? What is it with the Catholic Church? When them not molesting the boys, it's like that there's nothing that they haven't touched. Them touch boys, babies, women, children, teenagers, pregnant mother. Like, there's no spectrum of the human cycle that the Catholic Church is not accused of doing damage to that side. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand that. There is no section of the human cycle that there isn't a story about the Catholic Church doing damage to that and if it goes back to the 1920s, you know that now a lot of the parents are dead, so it would have to be now mostly their grandkids who would be getting the benefit of this particular program. But man, everywhere you turn, there's something bad with the Catholic Church and something bad them do to woman and child and boys. And then people get up and go Catholic Church every day. Anyways, we're going to circle to California. And if you're just joining, say hello, say hi, drop a comment, share the live. A young California couple pled not guilty to charges they murdered their 3-month-old daughter weeks after the county's child welfare services returned the baby to them. Then people, if you did have reason for take away the pitney, why not give back the pitney to the people them? Brandon Copeland, age 21, and Elizabeth Uman, age 22, of San Diego, entered their pleas in San Diego Superior Court Monday at their arraignment. Following the death of their daughter, they are charged with first-degree murder and each face 25 years to life in prison if convicted. On November 9th at 11:18 p.m., San Diego police received a call that an unresponsive infant in need of urgent medical attention at a residence at 4400 Maple Street in Colina del Sol. Officers rushed to the residence and immediately began administering CPR to the infant until San Diego Fire Rescue personnel arrived. The infant was transported to the hospital but was pronounced dead there. After an investigation, Copeland and Newman were arrested. and police have not specified how the baby died. As the couple awaits their next court date, their families are mourning the loss of the baby, whose name was Delilah. This baby went through living hell, said the baby's great grandmother. When Delilah was born, social services placed her in emergency custody with a great aunt because Copeland and Human's apartment was ruled dirty and unfit. 6 weeks later, Delilah was returned to her parents after they cleaned up their homes. Weeks later, Delilah died, leaving Arnett and her family devastated. So all they had to do was clean up them apartment in order for them to get back the kid. I know the kid dead. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. And the jury, this Kyle Rittenhouse trial is still continuing. The jury, today was the end of day 3 for the jury deliberation, and they still have not yet come to a conclusion. There's no nothing. I would not be surprised if he was found not guilty. In watching the trial, the portions of it that I've seen, the prosecutor did not do a good job of putting his case together. The judge is racist. Like, his comments that he's made, his off-the-cuff comments that he's made and jokes and whatever, he's racist. The makeup of the jury is not conducive to them coming to a guilty verdict. I think there was 11. I think if it's not 11 white, 1 black, it's an all-white jury. Yeah, blacks were the minority on it. So I am not optimistic that this little sniveler will be going to jail. I'd be very surprised if he's found guilty. Watching the trial has annoyed me immensely, but that's my personal opinion, and I'm sticking by it. Anyways, we're gonna do our COVID roundup for this week, and a lot is happening around the world with changes that are happening in the different countries and stuff. So I'm just gonna touch on a few of the countries, because if I was supposed to touch on all of them, we would be here all night. And as much as you guys love me, I know you don't want to be here all night. So I'm gonna start in the USA. And U.S. health officials on Tuesday gave the final sign-off to Pfizer's kid-sized COVID-19 shot. The Food and Drug Administration already authorized the shots for children ages 5 to 11. Just a third of the amount given to teens and adults, but the Center for Disease Control and Prevention recommends who should receive FDA-cleared vaccines. So that's in the USA. In Canada, it was announced today. The day they go so fast, I don't remember, but I think it was today that it was announced that shots are now available for kids age 5 to 11, because they're running hand in hand with what the US is doing with their stuff and getting the approvals and stuff. So I think it was today that they announced that here for our kids here. In Austria will begin a targeted lockdown for unvaccinated adults and minors over age 11 on Monday, amid a surge of COVID-19 infections in the country, where less than 65% of the population is fully vaccinated. Austria has one of the lowest rates in the European Union. And in New York, they will crowds will once again fill the New York Times Square, because they will be able to watch the ball drop in Times Square this year, providing that they have proof of their COVID-19 vaccination. If you want to watch a ball drop, you'll be able to do so. The mayor announced that earlier this week. Also, the Macy's Day Parade, their Thanksgiving Day Parade, that will be back to normal. That will be back to normal for their Thanksgiving coming up. And so once people can show that they've been vaccinated, they will be allowed to go out and be among one another, be it for the Thanksgiving parade or for the New Year's Eve ball drop. Okay. And circling around to Jamaica for the COVID update, there's a bunch of things that are happening down there. They've adjusted the gathering number as well as the times for the curfew. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, he updated the COVID-19 containment measures effective for another 3 weeks. So from November 18th to December 9th, curfews will begin at 9 p.m. and end at 5 a.m. Gathering limits for churches, weddings, and annual general meetings have been increased from 50 to 100, and for burials from 15 to 20, while events hosted by public entities remain restricted at 50 people. The general gathering rule of 10 has not changed, but nobody now obey them the rule. So I guess it's a suggestion of what to do, but people are not doing it. So he said that there will be no more shutdown measures from the government. They're just going to go along. They're just going to go along with what they're doing. They're slowly opening schools. Not all schools are open, so they're doing that on a case-by-case basis, slowly rolling that out across the island. And he's saying that people are not obeying what's being requested of them, and they're getting frustrated with the shutdown measures, which I can understand that, but at the same time, they're not obeying the various requests, because a big part of them still are going. People them still do them things, big gatherings still are going, so it not help. So he made a statement that priority, hospital bed priority will be given to those who have other illness. And basically him say, if you're unvaccinated and suffering from COVID, you're not a priority when it comes to hospital bed. That particular bed will be given to somebody else suffering from something else. So he says it's going to reach a point where that's where they'll have to do. They'll designate a fixed amount of beds for COVID-19 patients. And when those beds run out, people didn't like what I'm saying, but Jamaica not have enough hospitals and Jamaica not have enough bed. And because people figure say them live off them foreign adjacent, them figure say everything them do should be foreign adjacent, should be foreign, and it's not working. So we'll see what happens and go from there. Jamaica has one of the lowest vaccination rate in the Caribbean. And surprisingly, they've gotten more vaccine and more help with vaccine than any of the other countries. But, people are watching CNN and getting their doctorate from Facebook, and they're watching Fox News and all of them things. And, they're just not getting vaccinated. And with regards to our federal government here in Canada, last week the U.S. border opened where you can go travel across for non-essential travels. But however, you still had to have a negative PCR test in order to come back into Canada. Well, there's speculations that that's going to be changed, And if you're going across for less than 72 hours, you will not need a negative PCR test to come back into Canada. If your visit to the US is for less than 72 hours. However, if it's longer than 72 hours, you will still need a PCR test when you're coming back. And the cost of that can run you anywhere from 150 up to, I think, 300 US dollars. However, I know Walgreens has a program where you can get it done for free. And that's Walgreens in pretty much all the states. There's a way to get it done at Walgreens for free. So just as an FYI for those of you who are traveling, if you need to take to get a PCR test to return to Canada, you're in the USA, Walgreens will do it for free under certain circumstances. So just check it out before you come back. The numbers are, and to come to Ontario, the numbers are going up again. They're not as bad as they were, say, in the summertime or in early September, but they are going up, and there's some schools that have closed over the past week due to COVID outbreaks. So we'll see what happens with that. And just to give you the corona numbers for this week, so in Canada, 1.76 million have been tested, 29,458 deaths, with an increase of 185 deaths over the last week. Worldwide numbers are 255 million have been tested, 512 million have 5.12 million have died, with an increase of 30,000 over last week's numbers. In Ontario, 609,000 people have been tested. 9,000 have tested positive. 9,955 people have died, with an increase of 39 over last week's numbers. And in Jamaica, 90,370 people have been tested. 2,331 people have died, with an increase of 33 over last week's number. And this is the first time that Jamaica has had less people die in a week than Ontario. So I guess that's a good thing. Okay, so back to the news roundup. And this was shocking to me. So the convictions of two of the three men in the assassination of the civil rights activist Malcolm X were thrown out today in New York. The men, Mohammed A. Aziz and Khalil Islam, always maintained their innocence in the 1965 assassination of Malcolm X, who rose to become one of the most prominent leaders of the civil rights movement. Manhattan District. Let's see. So Islam, one of the guy who proclaimed his innocence, he died in 2009. Aziz, who is still alive and is in his 80s, had continued to fight to clear his record. He and Islam's estate are being represented by the Innocence Project and Shani's Law Office, a New York-based civil rights law firm. The events that brought us here should never have occurred. Those events were and are the result of a process that was corrupt to its core, one that is all too familiar even in 2020, as it said in a statement released by his lawyers. He says, "While I do not need a court prosecutor or a piece of paper to tell me I am innocent, I am glad that my family, my friends, and the attorneys who have worked and supported me all these years are finally seeing the truth we have all known officially. Recognize," he continued. So apparently there was a 22-month investigation into the killing of Malcolm X. This was after decades and decades of speculation that the case was mishandled from the start. As we all know, Malcolm X was assassinated February 21st in New York at the Audubon Ballroom, where people had gone to see him speak. Apparently several men opened fire, and they arrested three members of the Nation of Islam group back then, and it still is a bit regarded as a extreme group, the Nation of Islam. So Mujahid Abdul Halim, then known as Talmadge Hayer, and Thomas Agan Aziz, then known as Norman 3X Butler, and Islam, then known as Thomas 15X Johnson. They were convicted and sentenced to life in prison in 1966. Alim admitted to playing a role in the assassination, but maintained that Aziz and Islam had not taken part in it. There was a Netflix documentary series last year that titled Who Killed Malcolm X? And it was based on that docuseries where they then decided to, New York State then decided to look into the situation further because Project Innocence was already looking into it. So a couple of the issues raised during the series was that Aziz had an alibi. He had injured his leg and gone to a hospital only hours before the assassination. And the doctor who treated him had taken the stand in his defense and told him that there was no way he would have been at the murder scene because he had a foot injury, was unable to walk, and at the time of the murder, he was laid on his couch with his foot up, and he heard he heard of the assassination on the radio. So the one person that was guilty, Halim, he eventually revealed that he's co-conspirators in the assassination. So in 1978, Halim identified 4 other men he said were involved, but the judge at the time rejected the motion to vacate the charges against Aziz and Islam. Right? So I guess what's that? 60, 56, 57 years later, them say better late than never, but one man died without getting his name cleared. It's no, I guess it's some use to him posthumously, but you would want to be around to feel that joy and that elation of knowing that your name was finally cleared. Also, the 2 men spent a combined 42 years in prison. I think one spent 22 and one spent 20 years, with years in solitary confinement between them, and they were held in some of the worst maximum security prisons in 1970s. So glad that they were finally able to clear their name. They're both, one has died and one is in his 80s. The justice system, boy, the justice system. If you're just joining me, say hi, say hello, don't be shy, we don't bite. Share the live and comment where you see fit, where a news story might tickle your fancy. So for those who are keeping track or keeping abreast, I should say, of the Klansman gang trial in Jamaica. When them say Jamaica is not a real place, when them say gang life is not a real thing, I am wondering how much of the things that these gang do that they replicated from what they see on TV. Because when I listen to the testimony of the various witnesses, and when I listen to all the different things that they have been doing and they have done, sometimes some movie not spicy like what talk about in a real life. Like some of the movies are not as spicy. So just to give you a rundown of what's been happening in this past week with the witnesses that have appeared on this particular trial. Apparently the leader, Andre Blackman Bryan, sometimes used holes in the ground to hide from the police, according to witness number 2. Okay. They're saying that the witness was referencing particular areas that the gang would use as a walkway or an escape route. They said if police come, they won't know where to walk. They wouldn't know that escape route to go through the fence and enter Shelter Rock or the ball ground to get to fisheries. That is why the police has difficulty catching them. Sometimes there are holes they can hide in. They have trappee that they go through and escape from the police, the witness said. Brown also told the witness, the lawyer for one of the defense told the witness that he was making up stories as he went along and said that her client was not part of any alleged group led by Black Man to Fisheries One. So there's 33 defendants, 32 are men, 1 woman. Okay, so the witness is claiming that the woman was behind one of the killing when a man and a woman were allegedly killed by the gang. And the witness was telling the court that he saw McLean, which is the woman, with a gun more than once, because McLean's lawyer was stating that McLean was not a part of a gang, that, you know, the witness was lying and all of that stuff. The lawyer also asked the witness why McLean's name was not included in the statement that he gave to police in 2019. The witness said that he did not include McLean's name in the statement because he could not remember everyone's name at once, but highlighted that he made reference to him in the court. Also, a former member of the Wandong gang revealed how he had tricked reputed leader Andre Blackman, Brian, and his foot soldiers into believing that he had been arrested during a state of emergency in St. James. The witness said he told Blackman that I sell the firearm to pay for my lawyer fees. And they're giving they're giving evidence via video link. So the witness who had been working with the police to nail the gang said the story about him being arrested was part of the cover that he had used to stave off questions from the gang about an illegal gun that was one of the 2 that he gave to the police. He said pertaining to the newly bought handgun, the former community don said he had managed to convince Brian and another member that he had hidden it in a roof in his bedroom at his uncle's home in Kingston. In relation to the other gun, a rifle which was in need of repair, he said he had collected it under the guise that he was going to give it to the gang's gun repairman. And the gang's gun repairman, his name was Dwayne Salmon, otherwise called Chemist, and he's also one of the defendants. The witness testified that Brian had sent him to collect the money from a gang member in Denham Town in Kingston to buy the gun, but after collecting the money, he contacted the policeman who he had been working with, and they both traveled to Jonestown, where he turned over the money and collected the weapon, according to the witness. He introduced the police as his uncle, and 2 of the alleged gang members had asked the undercover cop to keep him safe. Boy. The witness further testified that he had told Brian a story that he had someone he wanted killed and borrow the gun. He said Brian had been complaining about wanting more rifles in the gang's arsenal, so he volunteered to carry it to Salmon, and when they retrieved it from the gutters, he turned it over to the police along with some ammunition. He was one of the Don's second in command, and he revealed that the organization had carried out contract killings for persons from overseas for $5,000. The witness, in making the admission, said that the money would be collected by an individual who would then receive further instructions from Blackman. The former top-tier gangster was answering questions about one Don's private meetings, from which he said he was excluded. The ex-gangster explained that the private meetings, which he had testified about not being invited to, were specifically held with contract killers when they had a hit job. He also testified that the contract killing meetings were convened by Blackman and that he, the witness, was not privy to those discussions. And according to the witness, the defendants, Dwight Hall, alias Jim Brown, Pete Miller, alias Smokey, and Marco Miller, alias Easy, enjoyed killing people and did not spare their families. They love to kill. Let me tell you the truth. Them kill their own and bury them, he said, adding that they were the only dons who go out and do their own shootings. The lawyer then turned the spotlight on the witness and questioned the legitimacy of his claim that he was a don, suggesting that his supposed actions did not fit the role. The witness agreed that he had told the court that a don would control the community and would be responsible for deciding who was killed and who lived. He also testified that they carried out several killings, but when he was asked by Bishop whether he had performed those tasks as the don, he said he had never carried out any violent acts, nor any robberies, theft, shoplifting, or extortion. The witness also denied going through any initiation in the gang or getting any beatings to see how strong he was. According to the witness, the only thing he did during his tenure as a don was to collect guns. The lawyer then suggested that his performance showed that he was never a don, but he disagreed, insisting that he had that status. Justice Brian Sykes told the witness that his utterances suggested that he was never really a don, as he claimed having not carried out criminal actions consistent with that role. Another revelation that came out about the savagery allegedly carried out by the One Down Gang is a self-confessed former member testified on Tuesday that one of his ex-cronies had boasted to him about walking around with the head of a rival in a bucket for days. The prosecution's second star witness said some of the alleged gang members had also bragged about how much dopey them have per ice. The man who was reportedly beheaded was identified only as Don and was said to be aligned to a faction of the Klansman gang allegedly led by Tesha Miller. One Don gang is a breakaway of the Klansman gang. The prosecution shared also that the prosecuting witness shared various grisly details while being cross-examined in the circuit court. And one of the attorney at law on behalf of defendant Fabian Johnson, otherwise called Crocs, the witness said Crocs was ever boasting that him have Don head in a bucket walking around for days, the witness said. He further explained that Johnson told him that he beheaded the man in Ocheria, Sentan, and buried his body in bushes. In volunteering while the man was allegedly murdered, the witness said he was informed that he was the one who was giving them the most trouble. The lawyer then asked the witness, how is it that he got the information about the beheading if he was not on site when that was done? And the witness stated that they're always bragging when they're having group conversations to say how many of them have killed, where they've killed, and what they did while they were killing and after the killing. You know, so it's just crazy. It is crazy. Apparently, Wesley told the witness that he was wanted by the police after two of his cronies, Sussman and Razim, were fatally killed in his car with his driver's license and a cell phone recovered. That's the day that he decided to change his life and become a witness for the police. He said that he had rented the car for a black man, and they used the car to go on an ops, and his information was found in the car. And when that happened, that's when he decided that he needed to turn his life around. He needed to, make some changes and started working with the police. Like I said, the stuff that is coming out in this trial, I mean, there's one situation where they said that where the witness testified that at one time when they were going on an ops, he armed himself with a machete and a crate of bottle bombs when he went on a mission with the gang where the members had reportedly killed a man and woman and firebombed their home in St. Catherine. Lindsay said, what a mess. Mess isn't the word. Enid said, this your movie bad. Lindsay say, the mess isn't, it's crazy. Like listening to reading about the trial, hearing what they're saying and who is doing what. Like some movie when I watch now have all of them plot twists here. Some of the movies that I've watched does not have all of this plot twist. It's crazy. But the trial continues, and I'll give you guys updates next week because I'm sure there'll be more entertaining stuff to come. So we're going to stay in Jamaica because the Prime Minister has issued state of public emergencies in 7 police divisions island-wide. That was announced on Sunday. The sections that are being affected are St. Andrew South, Kingston West, Kingston Central, Kingston East in the corporate area, St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland. And speaking of Westmoreland, I don't know what happened down there, but the amount of killing Aguana Westmoreland, the amount of killing was going down there, unbelievable. The Prime Minister stating that the divisions have recorded increase in violent crimes ranging from 16% to 57%. You can imagine you're going to say violent crime increase 57%. All have murder rates per 100 in excess of the regional average, which is 15%. And they're saying that it ranges from approximately 47 per 100,000 to a high of 190 per 100,000. That means that 47 people are got dead, I get killed per 100,000, or in some cases, 190 people are get killed per 100,000. So that's why he decided that he's going to initiate the state of emergencies in those particular areas. But the I don't know what's with Westmoreland, but Westmoreland just all of a sudden Westmoreland just get hype. Westmoreland get hype. Very hype. And we are stayed on a Westmoreland because a day after the Prime Minister stated that there was going to be a state of emergency implemented in Westmoreland, a gunman walked into an anti-violence training seminar and shot and killed a participant in front of other attendees. The United Nations Children's Fund Peace Management Initiative gender-based violence seminar was being held at the Source Center on Barracks Road in Savannah, Lamar. One eyewitness said he watched helplessly as a young male participant was gunned down. I sat down and watched this young man die. I watched every bullet the boy pumped into the young man, and I could not do nothing about it. Witness said that the trainee, who was from one of the violence-plagued communities in Westmoreland, went outside to have his lunch. Another young man dressed in a red hoodie and a red handkerchief around his face opened fire at the participant, killing him. You can imagine you're at a violence, you're at a conference to talk about managing violence and being a peace initiative, and right in there, so somebody come walk and come kill you. Or you're there and you have to see that. How you recover from the trauma of seeing that happen? Not to mention the young man who was looking to turn around his life, and that's what happened to him. That's crazy. Lindsay said they must be drinking some wild puss piss down there. That too, or the fact that they have no value. They don't value life at all. And it's a sad story. They don't value life at all. Not one bit they value life down there. Anyways, we're going to come up to Canada, and we're in Ontario, because the OPP and the London Service say a criminal organization selling illegal cannabis around the world has been dismantled. Investigators say they became aware of large-scale distribution of illegal cannabis and cannabis derivatives and cocaine trafficking in the London, Ontario area. According to police, the organization was operating an illegal cannabis website with delivery to London, Kitchener, Hamilton, and Toronto, and was involved in exporting across Canada and to Europe and South America. OPP Deputy Commissioner Chuck Cox said in a statement that the illegal cannabis trade continues to be dominated by organized crime. The legalization of cannabis has not removed the involvement of these organized crime groups, as it remains to be a lucrative commodity and is often used to fund other criminal activities. So on November 3rd, 15 search warrants were executed in 6 southern Ontario municipalities with the assistance of local law enforcement. So all kinds of things, cannabis oil, shatter, resin, and pre-rolled cannabis were seized as part of the operation called part of the process called Operation Gainsborough. Police also seized 495 kilograms of illegal cannabis resin or oil, 7,166 kilograms of illegal cannabis bud, approximately 10,000 packages of illegal cannabis edibles, 2,773 kilograms of illegal cannabis shake, 185 kilograms of illegal cannabis shatter. What are these things? What is shake? What is shatter? What are those? 15,343 illegal cannabis plants, 65 kilograms of psilocybin, 124 grams of cocaine, oxycodone, and hydromorphine pills, grow equipment valued at more than $653,000, 6 firearms and ammunition, more than $53,000 cash. 6 vehicles were also seized for a combined value of approximately $163,000 for the 6 vehicles. In addition, they closed down 2 cannabis extraction plants, one in Brampton and one in Middlesex County near London. Well, as them say, legalizing the cannabis doesn't seem to have gotten rid of the underground trading of cannabis, marijuana, and all such things. So I'm going to touch briefly on the Ahmaud Arbery murder trial, which continues this week. They interviewed various members of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and a lot of that was more technical based, trying to figure out what they were doing with their drones when they did the flyover, why that was done and all of that. So a lot of it was technical. However, Good night, Lindsay. Thanks for checking in. Have a good night. So, one of the guys that did the shooting, the son, he was testifying today. And there's been a couple of situations where the defending lawyer did not want, they petitioned the judge to ban Jesse Jackson from the courtroom, which they've lost. They wanted other high-profile visitors to be removed from the courtroom, claiming that seating was limited and all of that stuff. But they lost that argument. So Jesse Jackson was there, and a couple other people. Ahmaud Arbery's parent was also in court today. They interviewed Travis McMichael, and he claims that he feared for his life. Imagine, this man was in a truck. First of all, him leave him yard in a truck with a shotgun, and claim say he attacked Arbery because in fear for him life, and in the moment when Arbery grabbed him gun, he was thinking of his son. And imagine that you have the end of the gun where you can pull the trigger, and the person that you're pointing the gun on is grabbing the gun to prevent you from pointing the gun at him, to prevent you from shooting him. And you are going to say that you afraid for that person. It was a life or death decision. You should have stayed home. You should have stayed at your yard, and that would have not happened. Ahmaud would have been alive, and you would not be on a murder trial. You would not be. And he claims that when Ahmaud grabbed onto the gun, he thought of his son, and he thought that Ahmaud was going to kill him. So he pulled the trigger, killing Ahmaud. Like, how does that make sense? How does that make sense? So Travis McMichael claims that, Ahmaud struck him. It was obvious that he was going to attack him, and that he was trying to get the shotgun from him. Of course, the man are going to try to get the shotgun from you. You're pointing the gun at him. The man seeing life flash before him, and I try for prevent you from killing him, which didn't happen because you shot him anyways. They also played one of the recording. The recording where Travis said that before the shooting, they used the trucks to cut off Arbery's escape, where Greg McMichael told police over the it was a recording that they had him trapped like a rat. So they were bragging about it. And Brian, who was the neighbor, stated that he used his truck to run Arbery off the road several times. So how are you fearing for your life when you're the ones that have all the weapons and all of that? It doesn't make sense. So the mother of Ahmaud Arbery addressed the testimony she heard earlier from Travis McMichael, saying she appreciated gaining some insight on what he was actually thinking. I think his testimony was, first of all, I want to say I appreciate his testimony because it gave my family and I some insight on what he was actually thinking. Wanda Cooper Jones said, speaking on the courthouse steps after the first day of the defense's presentation. Mr. Travis McMichael killed my son, all on assumptions. He had no real facts or where Ahmaud was coming from, what Ahmaud had done. He just took actions into his own hands, and based on what I heard, again, Travis killed Ahmaud all on assumptions. He didn't have any facts on hand when he chose to pull the trigger. Not one time, but 3 times, she added. So, Yeah, that particular trial is not over. It will continue, and I will keep giving you guys weekly updates on that particular trial until it's concluded. And that was our last story of the week. So I'm going to touch on the soul chattings of the night. Um, you know, the soul chattings of the night states that the only thing standing between you and your goals is your own lack of execution. The only thing standing between you and your goals is your own lack of execution. So that's it for tonight, my peeps. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for sticking with me all through the journey. Hopefully, you were entertained. Hopefully, you were able to get some information and, hear some new stories that you weren't aware of. Enid says, I watched the video over and over. It's very, very sad indeed. Very, very sad. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for joining me tonight. See you next week, same time, same place, 9 p.m. on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. Have a good night, folks. Be safe out there in them roads. It's getting cold, and good night, good night, good night, good night.